Still working on the Warherd, right? I've got the Warherd right behind me. That's this right here. I've got about 1,000 points squared. Welcome once again to another loud and obnoxious episode, the Throne of Angels video blog. As always, I am your host, Mr. Derek Osborne, here to show you a giant hammer along with a world in miniature. But I'm going to start out with our friend Dave, Mini Wargaming Dave, posted up his Adepticon recap this year and shared something very personal in that Adepticon recap. Now, I'll post a link to that video below and I encourage you all to watch it. So, I've been thinking about making some changes. Task number 1, should I change the intro? Task number 2, should I change the setting, right? Should I sit at a table? Do you guys have any problems with me standing up? Is it fine if I stand up and swing a hammer or a weapon or whatever in, dead space? Again, I know it's distracting sometimes. I do know some people just turn the video on and listen while they're doing other things, so that may not even be a thing. Does the background matter, right? Should I put up a poster or a banner, something? Blue walls, I mean, is that cool, right? So yeah, item number 1, should I change the intro? Item number 2, should I change the set dressing and the orientation of how I present? Is standing fine, or should I sit behind a desk at a table and be, more of a desk table guy? Anyways, those are the 2 things that I would like to get some feedback on. So why am I not standing in front of a table or standing behind a table today? Well, because we're going to do it on the desk, right? It's been a while since I've done it on the desk, and I think I'm going to make that more of a regular feature as opposed to just standard, consistent, constant, hey, look at this army project that I'm working on right to now today. So we'll literally look real time at what's going on every once in a while. We'll do that 3 or 4 times, maybe more a year, but it'll be a very kind of regular thing, right, on the desk. And so I might even do a graphic for it. If I do a graphic for it, I'm serious, right? Yeah, okay, whatever. So with that, what am I working on? Well, I've got a big slew of Age of Sigmar projects that I'm working on. As always, my buddy Rob McMillan, he said, well, I asked him, I was like, Rob, what the hell should I paint? And he goes, chaos. I said, well, what chaos? And he says, all of chaos. So basically I'm going to do an army for every single chaos option for Age of Sigmar over the next, 6 or 8 months. We're going to see how fast I can get through it. Right now I got Beasts of Chaos on the table. They've been there for a couple of months. They were there basically prior to me doing a massive amount of work for Mercs. And that massive amount of work was 126 models and 3 tables full of terrain. That took me 2 months. So I know I've got the speed and the capability of getting things done when I focus. It's just a matter of getting the focus, right? So on my list, I've got it on the wall, Age of Sigmar, Reign of Chaos. I'm starting out with Beasts of Chaos, and then I'm just going alphabetical down the list. So I've got Beasts of Chaos, Blades, Hedonites, Magickin, Skaven, and Slaves to Darkness. What about the Tzeentch? I'm not doing Tzeentch because that's Rob's favorite army. He likes magic. I ain't touching them. No Tzeentch. I don't. No. Plus, I really don't like many of the options for the demons and the models on that side of things, which is odd because I love the Thousand Sons, right? I totally love the Thousand Sons, Armon, and things of that. That's a whole different discussion. Oh, anyways, Slaves to Darkness. That brings something up. So the next Angels of the Host painting challenge, right? So check the t-shirt. Woo, it's done. Brandon and Maurice have their, well, Brandon's actually sitting right here. I haven't mailed them to him yet, but Maurice has his. Brandon's is on the way when I put it in an envelope, or yeah, I'll put it in a padded envelope and send it out there. That'll get sent this week. But anyways, the next Angels of the Host painting challenge is coming up, and this is a call for participants. So if you want to participate in the next Angels of the Host painting challenge, you need to find a partner, somebody that you trust, somebody that you know. And the reason that I say this is because there's very, very specific reason and need for it. So if you want to participate, send me your name and your partner's name with participation in the subject line to throneofangels@gmail.com. That's throneofangels@gmail.com. Participation in the subject line. I need your name, I need your partner's name, and like I said, it needs to be somebody that you know, because if you fail at this, you're going to let them down. Now, what is it? The second Angels of the Host painting challenge. I'm limiting it to 5 pairs of people. 10 total people, 5 pairs, right? So there's already 1 pair spoken for, myself and Randon. You guys remember him from the last Angels of the Host painting challenge. So what's on the line? Well, I'm going to make t-shirts again, right? So here's the shirt for the first Angels of the Host challenge. This shirt only exists and it is only owned by the 3 people that took part in it, myself, Maurice, and Randon. So that's what I'm giving up. What are you giving up? Well, you are giving up a Getting Started box or a Vanguard box or whatever they're called for 40K nowadays. So Age of Sigmar, 40K, makes no difference. You are going to paint your partner's box, right? So you're going to assemble your models, you're going to box them up, and you're going to give them to your partner, whether you're shipping them across the country like I am to Randon and he is to me, or you're walking over to your neighbor's house and handing your neighbor a box of models to paint and he's handing you his or hers. Either way, you are exchanging a completely built Getting Started box for either 40K or Age of Sigmar with your partner. I'm going to build a timeline, and then I'm going to expect a commitment, right? So if you want to be part of this challenge, send me an email. I'm going to put a date up probably next episode as to when that email window closes, and whether I have just Randon and myself or it fills up makes no difference. I'm going to put a cutoff date as to when you can send me an email, because then I'm going to build a schedule. I'm going to build my models and I'm going to ship them off to Randon, and he's going to ship me his. And in the interim, whoever else gets involved is going to be doing the same thing. So again, it is a Getting Started box for Age of Sigmar or 40K. Now, why those 2? Well, because it's the easiest way to go out and actually get something in regards to an equal sized painting project, right? For the most part, 700 to 1,000 points, I believe, is what a GSB is. It was originally supposed to be a Slaves to Darkness challenge, and it was just going to be Slaves to Darkness models, but that was back last year before I relocated to Georgia, and I'd already had a number of participants in that challenge. So here's the public call out. Like I said, if you want to participate, send me an email with participation in the subject line, throneofangels@gmail.com. Let's go ahead and take a look at what is on the table. All right, so welcome to the land of dead projects. So, right there in the back on the right hand side is a heresy demon that I have had for, man, it seems like 20 years. So that thing, I've painted that thing, I think 6 times, painted and stripped it 6 times. It is metal, right? So that is probably the heaviest model that I own. The wings are pinned, the arms are pinned, everything is pinned, and if I drop it, it explodes into a million pieces. I've done that once, and it sucked. But, like I said, I think I painted it 6 or 7 times. It is now currently primed, obviously black with a nice white zenith all over the top, as I have not figured out what I want to do with it this time, because it's more of a centerpiece model than anything that I would put on the table, just mainly due to the fact that it weighs like 6 pounds. I mean, it's crazy. To his right, obviously screen left, there is the 3-up prototype model for the Kaizawaza leader. That is a limited edition piece that most of you are aware of. Oh, there's a little building kind of right in between it that is for something completely different we'll probably never talk about, so no big deal. In front of the 3-up is the Space Marine conversion project that I never got around to completing. Sorry to the boys out there at the Geek Garage, but quite honestly, there was only one of like 8 of us that finished, and that was Alan. Way to go, Alan, you rock! And then in front of that, there is an Infinity Nomad. The Gator, he is probably one of my favorite tags, mainly because he reminds me of a Transformer. And then in front of that is the Combined Arms Onyx, Assault Force. I don't remember what they were called, Onyx something or other. But anyways, yeah, so the Land of Forgotten Projects up on top of my Minotaur painting cabinets. Now up above, we have even more kind of forgotten projects. There's actually a completed tower, but we've got some Relic Knights, we've got some 40k, we've got some Confrontation, we've got some Age of Sigmar. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on over there. And then down below, we have the first model I put together for Conquest. We have the Kathy Wapple Tribute Mini that will never, ever, ever not be on my desk. We have the first ever Conflict model that I converted, and then we have a giant mushroom monster man. So that's what's sitting in the I'll get around to it or I have forgotten about it pile. Some people call it a pile of shame, some people call it a pile of opportunity. Me, I call it forgotten toys. So let's move on to the other side, shall we? All right, top left corner here, we are re-recording this because the sound cut out on me in a very strange way. Anyways, right there on the left, you see a Shaman. That is the model I will be using for my Great Bray Shaman. However, I have to print it out about half that size because it is way too big. In the back, you see basically my Shaggoth, or the model I'm using for my Shaggoth, plus my Dragon Ogres, which are no longer in the list. Model I'm using for, or was using for, my, I believe it was my Chimera. Then we've got the Minotaurs themselves, the Giant, and then my giant, the Great Unclean One that was given to me by my friend Byron for the start of my Maggotkin army. Obviously, they're going to be pumpkin themed. All right, instead of going top down, we're just going to go front facing. So right now I'm working on my Banner Boy for that first unit. And the first unit is a reinforced unit, so 6 cows. If you were paying attention, you saw the musician up there. He was front right. Banner Boy, this guy is actually a leftover, and this is model number 6. So these two complete that first unit. This guy is part 1 of the second unit, which quite honestly is no longer since they elevated the points of the cows. So instead of having 4 units, I now only have 2. And that second unit technically is right there. So we'll get a close-up look at them here as soon as I jump cut. Video magic. The jump cut cracks me up. Anyways, so this is the second unit of quote-unquote cows, right? Obviously they're not cows, they're giant kitty cats, were-tigers, or whatever you want to call them. But I think these models are badass and wanted to incorporate a unit of them in as well. I actually have a unit of bears or werebears to add to it also. However, I just don't have the points now that they have changed the Beasts of Chaos rules. So obviously this is a second Doom Bowl, right? You guys can tell that, right? Second Doom Bowl. Well, anyways, if you can, this is my second Doom Bowl, part of the command. And then the unit behind him, so that is my second unit of cows, even though they're tigers. These guys, double-handed weapons with a banner and a musician. So what's next? Well, there's this little game by Titanforge Miniatures, and they present it on their Patreon called Bloodfields. Now, my buddies and I decided we were going to play Bloodfields at Adepticon, and that fell apart. So clearly, I didn't paint a damn thing for Bloodfields, and my models are all still baseless, right? So you can see right here, these are the bases that I have set aside for them. They are the, they're not Tau Ceti, they're one of the bases from Death Ray Designs. I'll go ahead and throw them in the comments below, but they are really, really sweet. As you can see, the Dryaders are actually sitting on the 60mm versions of those bases. Very, very cool. But anyways, this is the entire army, right? It is the essentially the Dark Elves for the game. Spiders, Driders, dudes with bows and arrows, So this is a container full of old Confrontation models. They're all in bags to basically keep them separated, with the exception of a couple of things that are in these trays. So I have been buying job lots, or what I would consider job lots, of Confrontation models for years. These are models basically that have one or two things in them that I want for my collection, and then it's just a bunch of other random extra stuff, right? So this last job lot that I bought has a ton of stuff in it that I am going to basically, I've already cleaned it all up. I'm going to reassemble. I'm going to fix all the broken models. I'm going to paint to a tabletop standard, and then I'm just going to put them up for sale in the Confrontation group. So guys who want to have painted models can have painted models. And so there's no rhyme or reason to any of this. It is just stuff that I have picked up, like I said, over time, that is sitting, occupying space, and I want to get into the hands of the players of a game that I absolutely loved at one point in time in my life and spent a huge amount of my time playing and collecting models for. So yeah, Confrontation job lots. You guys will see that coming up in episodes here in the future as well. Going to be starting out, I think, with 4 or 5 Wolfen models, and that'll be fun to do because I really enjoy painting those. All right, one final thing to show you guys. So this is a Juggernaut Extreme. For those of you who don't know, it is a model from the old War Machine line. They did a pair of Extreme models, I think, maybe 3. If I remember right, I believe they did the Juggernaut, the Destroyer, and then the Gladiator from the Scorn, I think. It's been a long time, but anyways, I pulled some strings to actually get this model out of the warehouse before it was released for sale. So this model, once upon a time, was a cornerstone for my War Machine experience, right? I had 3 of these things in a list with Vlad, Mark 1. It was a mess. I had so much fun with these guys, and I absolutely love this model design, and what they did with it when they took it to quote-unquote the extreme level. I was going through some stuff, prepping for Adepticon. I ran across it. It was in pieces. I was like, oh, I really need to get this done. I pulled it out of the case that it was in and set it on my desk to reassemble and prime when I got back from Adepticon. Well, lo and behold, as I said last episode, I met Mig Jimenez and was sent a few things to try out. So they've got a new Wargaming Universe line, the Ammo Wargaming Universe. The Distant Steps, I'm going to actually use this basing kit for my first Confrontation job lot project. However, this Weathering for Combat armor is going to be used for this Juggernaut. So I'm going to do probably a nice little walkthrough. I'm not going to do a tutorial, right? I'm not a tutorial guy, you guys know this. I'm going to do a walkthrough of what I did utilizing these products, and these kits are freaking amazing. Now that I've had some time to actually look at them and review them, I am super impressed and super jazzed to open these things up and actually start working with them. So you guys are going to see a lot more from the Ammo Wargaming Universe on the channel, and more than likely on the other channels as well if you're going to follow those. So that is what is on the desk. Let's go ahead and crack that wrap right quick. All right, well, I showed you some projects that are just sitting that I started and obviously have not completed or, well, haven't touched in a while. Beast of Chaos for Age of Sigmar. Well on the way to getting that squared away and done. I've got, I think, 4 more models, if I remember right, that are being printed and squared away. So remember, my Reign of Chaos, as I said, is not necessarily going to be all Games Workshop models. The Beast of Chaos actually doesn't have any Games Workshop models in them. They're all 3D printed, but clearly not a tournament model that I can take with me to an event, but something fun and something entertaining that I can put on a table in the LGS or at my place or my friend's place to get in a quick game. Blades of Khorne will more than likely be 80% Games Workshop models with some, some printed models. There are a few demons that I really want to include that are cool. outside of the Games Workshop staple of models. Showed you my Great Unclean One. Obviously, Maggot can't have gotten started. Thanks, Byron. I love you, brother. Bloodfields on the table as well. Didn't get a chance to play the rewind. Bloodfields on the table. Didn't get a chance to play the Adepticon, but I watched a game with Brian and Chris. Looks fun. The rules are pretty solid, pretty decent, and they release literally armies for it on a regular basis through their Patreon. You know, I talked a little bit about my confrontation rescue mission. That's just something that, for me, one of my favorite lines of all times. Just giving some old models some new life and getting them out there to the people who still play and enjoy that game. Now with that, we are coming to a close. As always, thank you very much for joining me, and we will see you all again in 2. All right, cutting that part out, cutting this part in. So, send me an email.